Picture a movie about aliens. How do you think these aliens would take over the world?
If you were going to take over the world, would you blow up the White House Independence Day style? Or sneak in through the back door?
Now picture what these aliens would look like. In this movie, these aliens look like porcupines, and then later on they look like the Predator. It's baffling to me that an extraterrestrial race will come down to Earth. They want to take over, but yet the state of the world still remains the same.
Watch for the signs. Wait for the signal. Be ready. The Phoenix will rise. The Phoenix will rise. The Phoenix will rise.
You gotta check this out.
Damn, yo.
Oh my. What is this?
Since the extraterrestrials' arrival to Earth, things remain the same, but they've been getting worse. And so it's just baffling to me what the aliens are doing in this movie. For a point, I was thinking, okay, the aliens are pretty pointless here. I mean, why couldn't you just make this movie more realistic about, some regime, some Hitler type person, somehow takes over the world, and it's like there are no extraterrestrials. It's all human nature stuff. Because that's what the movie had. It had elements of reality in it, but it had this extraterrestrial force added in. And for a while, I thought, why is this here? I mean, at first I thought it was cool, and then as the movie progresses, I'm like, okay, the aliens are pointless. Then we see the aliens again, and they look kind of stupid. And then I'm like, okay, why are they, if they're controlling the world, why is the state of the world still the same? I don't really see any changes here. It's just like, well, things get worse, and I guess that's it. Towards the end of the movie, I felt that that's when the aliens' presence felt more known. Towards the end, because there's a situation that goes down, and now they're coming out with force. And overall, I just thought it was really baffling of how the aliens were treated in this movie. The only reason these aliens were in this movie, I felt, was because there's a sequence later on where something happens, where this terrorist group exercises their rights, their freedoms, and they're trying to send a message. And the way that scene is executed, with these terrorists trying to execute this plan against these aliens, is kind of goofy. But then now from the beginning that the aliens are here, it's not as goofy as it seems. Because it's like, if they didn't have aliens, and how would this terrorist execution plot, how would it have worked out without the aliens there? But it's, you won't think it's silly, but I mean, I guess that's the only reason they're there, so this movie can have an excuse to do something that's kind of outlandish. We have John Goodman in this movie, and John Goodman is a fantastic actor. He plays a government agent who, at the beginning, I was confused at what his character was doing. I knew what his character was doing. I was just confused as what his personal investment was within the plot of the story. And the movie, I think, does it intentionally. It makes the audience feel confused intentionally. It's like, okay, he's a government agent. He's trying to track Aston Sanders' character down. Aston Sanders is a younger brother to Jonathan Majors' character, who's like this terrorist who forms this rebellion, and he's like a legend amongst the people. We have Vera Farmiga in here, and she plays a prostitute, and it's just like there's a mixture of characters in here, and I would say with her character, she gets the most mystery because she shows up at the beginning, and then I'm saying to myself, okay, why is she here? And then it ties into other things. She made sense, but the beginning, I'm confused because her character has a lot of mystery, and then at the end, they reveal why she's there. And then there are all these other characters in this movie that don't really, they serve a purpose, but then the movie just makes it confusing, and it's easy to follow, but there's so many puzzle pieces in this movie where at the beginning it's like, okay, cool, I'm interested, then in the middle it's like, okay, this is getting interesting, and then by the end everything comes together and it feels like a complete puzzle. But then while you're watching it, it feels like, okay, this is all unnecessary. Why is there so much going on in this movie? They're trying to cram a lot of story plot twist in here, and whose characters on what side and what's going on, and the aliens and all this crazy stuff, while trying to implement a social message. You have a rebellion that wants to strike back at the people they feel are holding them down, and then so they form the rebellion and they strike back, to try and accomplish something. And that's what this movie felt like. It was tackling social issues of injustice within the system, but then it used aliens to try and get that message across, which I felt was unnecessary, but it made sense for certain sequences within this movie. And then the constant jumping around with the characters, and it's like this character is related to this character, and then this character's here for this reason, and then by the end you learn why this other character's here. So it's like the movie's going all over the place, but then by the end it makes sense. But at the same time, watching this movie is just very exhausting. My verdict for this movie is that it's good. It's a good movie. Plot twists and things that go all over the place, that it is a bit boring in some parts, but I was invested in the story. I was invested in the development of the characters. The social commentary, I understood it, but I just felt it could have been used more effectively and didn't need the aliens there. The aliens look cool at first, and then as it progresses, there are these shots that, like, there's a ship shot where they show the ship moving and it looked fake, and I'm just like, you could have showed it from a distance, because when they showed the ship flying from a distance it looked good, but up close it looked bad. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I think it's good. I was very invested in the story, the characters, the development, the twists and turns, but it was exhausting going through all of the motions. But by the end, I was satisfied, but at the same time, I was a bit disappointed because there is a small resolution, but in the larger scheme of things, there isn't a resolution. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
Light a match. Ignite a war.